Alright, what's up? What's up? How's it going, Gaming Compute? I am recording on this Saturday morning. It is sunny, a little cloudy, but not as hot as all the other days. We're in the mid 60s here in LA right now. But today I wanted to record a little bit about some coaching. I don't usually do a whole lot of working related stuff on Saturdays, but I wanted to get out, get some sunlight. I'll close the car door in a little bit. I'm just sitting out here because it's sunny, and I think the windows have some kind of UV protection on them, so I want all the sun. I want all the sunlight. So I'm just sitting here with the door open, so I hope it's not too loud. We have a gate in our driveway and like a fence going up the side of the driveway, and I noticed it's this has been like this plastic type of fence for years now, and so I've noticed that it echoes a lot more than when we had a wooden fence. So if I'm sitting here with the door open on the driver's side, there's a fence right there, and it's basically just like making the traffic sound really loud. But maybe I'll just open the windows a little bit. I don't know. I kind of just want to chill in here though. That doesn't make it any better. It's hot in here. It's hot in here with the windows up. Oh gosh. But yeah, I wanted to record a little bit today because I'll consider it my little volunteer work. It's let me see if I can survive with the windows all the way up. I'll consider it some volunteer work today. I know you guys liked the website audit episode. I'm trying to find other sites to audit, but I think I explained before that the Discord that I was a part of, it kind of went up. Somebody else told me that that Discord had changed and now it's on some server called WOP or something like that, WOP. Not WOP like WAP, but it. I don't know. I never looked into it, so I don't really know. And I don't know if it would be worth trying to get into it. But yeah, there weren't. It's not like there were a bunch of people sharing their e-commerce websites on there or anything. But I did want to talk about this coaching session I went into on Thursday. That was 2 days ago now, because it's Saturday at the moment. It was a pretty fun coaching session. It was like an hour long, a little longer than an hour, because I logged in a couple minutes before, and then it went longer afterwards. So I think I recorded for like 67 minutes. I recorded the audio on my backup cell phone, and then had to use Send Anywhere to take it off that phone, get it onto my computer, and it was a group coaching session, but it's through a private course. So I wasn't sure if I'm allowed to post it just on the podcast, but what I'm going to do, I created a folder already, a Google Drive folder that has, basically I created a document that has the lady doing the coaching. It has her LinkedIn info. I copied and pasted from her coaching reviews. There were 3 reviews, but one of them seemed like someone just trying to like pitch their own coaching. So 2 out of the 3 reviews were good reviews for her paid coaching. I think one was in 2024, one was in 2025. I feel like her coaching was a method, if I'm being transparent, I feel like her coaching was a method to give something free, right? So she used this course that she's connected to because she's in digital marketing. She, uh, for free, she provided this coaching session for like an hour, and then she um, provided a free worksheet uh, for like a 30-day plan you can make for yourself. And then with that worksheet, you can also connect to her coaching. It's not super expensive for an hour of coaching with her. I'm not pitching her coaching. I don't really know much about it. You can look at it if you want. I usually go the free route. Her coaching might be helpful, but a lot of times when I'm considering, is someone's coaching service going to be worth it to me, I like to look at their credentials and their proof of their work. Now, she has 2 reviews, like I said. I'm just going to read it all to you guys cuz I posted it, but I'm going to basically read what I posted cuz I have access to it cuz basically I'm posting it for you guys too. So, with the Google Drive link, I'm naming it group coaching session. I don't know if I can open it from out here. If I don't, I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi. Let me try and disconnect from the Wi-Fi and see if I can open it on data. I might not be able to read it because I went outside. Alright, sorry. Okay, I don't want to click the audio because I'm recording. Bear with me. I'm trying to do this on my phone, and I was not really planning on opening this. Where the heck? Okay, my drive. Where are we at? Coaching. Group coaching session. So basically she talked about the recession and, long story short, using gig work or like capitalizing on the skills you already have to use that to create multiple streams of income. So she wasn't really saying anything that none of us have heard, but it's free. It's worth the listen. I'm giving it to you guys. It's worth the listen. If somebody tells me to take it down, I'll take it down. I really don't know if I'm allowed to post it, but I mean she gave the information for free. I just didn't really want to post it as a podcast episode because I feel like that's totally taking her content. I mean, I'm linking to her content. You can an audio recording of her talking in the coaching session. The only way I've paid through it is because I paid for the course, so I get access to the coaching session. Some of them are free, some of them are not. This one was free. But I think she charges about $45 an hour for her coaching. So I'm gonna look. Let me see. Where should I start? Let's start looking at her details. So her name is Bernadette Johnson Gray. I have left her LinkedIn, or Bernadette Chambers. I don't know which one. There was a picture of a lady on the coaching kind of like thumbnail, and then there was her picture on LinkedIn. They don't really look like the same person. The person, I don't know how to explain this, and I could be wrong. The person, one person was Bernadette Chambers, the other person was Bernadette Johnson Gray. But I feel like people can change their names, with marriages and whatever. So I don't really know if it was the same person, same race. Maybe one picture was a younger picture, the other one was an older picture. I don't really know. Maybe it just was a stock photo. I don't really know. They didn't look not alike. She didn't look like the same person. I don't know. I mean, maybe she used to look like that. Like it's like I don't know. It's hard for me to tell when people like if somebody has natural like a natural afro versus like braided hair and then kind of like wider features, kind of like a fuller face because of someone having more weight versus lost a lot more weight, um, and thinner and wearing glasses and gray hair with the braids. So it's like there's a lot of features that are different. So either way, um, I posted the Bernadette Chambers link there, but on the Zoom link, she was named Bernadette Johnson Gray or B Johnson Gray, and then she introduced herself as Bernadette. Um, she provides this career audit worksheet, so I'm providing her LinkedIn, her career audit worksheet. Um, it says all the purpose of the coaching is to kind of deal with an unpredictable economy. Um, so she talks about identifying high demand skills, diversifying income streams, leveraging AI and automation, future proofing your networks, like network development, who should attend. Um, and then she got a couple 5-star reviews. I put the LinkedIns for the 2 people who gave reviews. But there was a third person. The third person, I did not put their information because when I read it, it didn't seem like an actual review. It was like, I don't know if they even said they went to her session, but they were like, oh, like, I work for this company, blah, blah, blah. And it was like this whole, like, really super lengthy one page explanation over like 1,000 pages of 1,000 words of talking about like their company and how they came to be with their company and what their company provides and stuff like that. Like, I did not think that person was reviewing Bernadette's coaching. I think that person was assuming other people were going to look at the reviews because this lady has traffic, and those reviews, um, the traffic coming from her reviews would possibly lead to traffic to this person's work. I'm assuming that's what they were trying to do with that there. I have to open this door because I'm melting inside this car. So that's what the document is going to be in this group coaching session folder. I'll have the audio recording there, and then we'll look at her career audit worksheet. So it's just a 1-pager. So it's a career audit and 30-day action plan. So you can use this basically to create an action plan for yourself. It says, welcome to your personalized career audit and 30-day action plan worksheet. This tool is crafted to support career professionals and digital entrepreneurs in assessing their current career standing and planning actionable steps toward growth. Let's embark on this journey with confidence and clarity. It says current assets. Assess your current career assets to understand your strengths and leverage them for future opportunities. Reflect on the following aspects: skills, knowledge, and reputation. So, skills, list the top 5 skills that distinguish you in your field. Knowledge, identify key areas of expertise or certifications. And reputation, note any professional recognition, network strengths, or testimonials from clients and colleagues. So I can give you an example of this, of when I was working more in mental health and enhanced care management and case management. It's kind of easier for me to just talk about that right now. The top 5 skills that distinguished me in my field would probably be the length of time that I stayed, the amount of I guess the amount of skills that I learned over that amount of time, because I don't think there are a lot of, like, I noticed after multiple years, like even last year when I popped back into the field in 2024, when I'm working in that field, there still to this day has not been a task that's come up on my desk where I was like, I don't even know where to start with this. Now, I would say there are things that come up where it's like, okay, maybe I've exhausted the resources and it's like maybe more of a complex kind of a resource that I'm trying to get access to, but usually any type of resource that I've needed, I've been able to, find what I need to help people. So I know basically all of the resources. I would say that I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think about metrics wise. Well, if I just think about my skills, I mean, I'm able to do the assessments. I'm able to create like treatment plans and stuff like that. Is that 5? Let me add another one in case. I'm also able to, I guess, help with referrals. So whether that's a warm handoff to someone else who can help them instead of me, or discharge planning when somebody was fully engaged, met their goals, or timed out of the program, or no longer meets criteria for the program because their needs aren't high enough. I'm able to kind of help someone take the next steps to get there. I guess one aspect of that isn't really in anyone's control is like when someone gets discharged for non-engagement. So a lot of these programs say if you're enrolled in a 30-day program or a 90-day program or a 6-month or a 1-year program, where what that means is every 30 days or every 90 days or however long the program is, once you meet the end of your date, you get reassessed to see what needs to change in your treatment plan, either adding things of needs that aren't met yet or changing things based on needs that have been met. So say for example, if somebody was working on their anxiety and their anxiety improved with medications, we'll save all of it, medications, meditations, groups, individual therapy, some of their life circumstances changed, their anxiety has improved, but now they're using substances, um, and it's a 30-day program, and it's like they're using substances, and you know, even if they have work, even if their housing situation has improved, they've now got a substance dependency, and then maybe they add a health issue to the list of issues. So maybe those things weren't happening 30 days ago, but now they're happening by the 30-day mark, and they would still meet criteria for the program, and you would basically just recreate a new plan that basically states, okay, this person's anxiety is mostly managed, but it's still like maybe a mild anxiety as far as they're explaining, and it's still leading them to other issues such as, substance dependence, and they've got some stressors around like a physical health issue that they don't have resolved, that they got diagnosed with something, and maybe they're pre-diabetic now, maybe that's what it is, or almost pre-diabetic, or at risk of being pre-diabetic, I don't know. And so now they're trying to resolve that. So you would basically just make another plan and present that to a treatment team, saying, hey, like, this person still needs the help. Now if they no longer meet criteria for like a mental health uh, issue, and they've only got substance and physical health issues, and your program doesn't, you know, help people with substance issues, then I don't know what I would think. Um, uh, you'd probably have to refer this person to like a substance dependence program for primary substance use. But some sites might let you keep them on. It kind of just might depend on the wording, because it's like, well, you could say someone with anxiety, maybe their anxiety never fully goes away. And with the recent condition of a diagnosis, maybe their anxiety could return. So you might still be able to make a case for keeping them on for another 30 days just to monitor. But I don't know. That's kind of what it would look like. So I would say, I don't know why I went into all that, but basically, as far as skills, those are the types of skills that I would say I have. It's kind of just like the knowledge around like what it looks like for a program, and how to kind of decide or help a treatment team decide. Like, I don't know how to word this, but I feel like I can tell when a client needs to be somewhere, and when there's kind of this like thin line between sometimes clients time out of a program, but they still need the help, but you don't want to leave them hanging. And for me, like, I feel like that is a skill that I have, being able to take a case and look at it. Like, it's different if there's someone who's like, I don't want to come here, I don't want therapy anymore, I was just doing it because like my job said I had to come here for 30 days for whatever reason that is, and then I'm done, I want to say goodbye, let's graduate me from this program, I'm happy, give me my certificate or whatever. And that's how it ends, and that's fine. But sometimes people are like, oh no, I'm learning, but they're still like at an early phase, even if it is more than 30 days, even if it is 6 months, even if it is a year program. Some people don't feel like they feel like they're benefiting enough that they would rather stay. And if you know that you have the space in your caseload, or that your site has the space to treat them, and they're not like overwhelmed, like, you can make a case for people. Just kind of like I said, it's like, well, it kind of depends on the wording. Maybe somebody is primary substance, and if your program doesn't treat primary substance, I mean, you have to make sure they're connected with a substance dependence program, but you don't want to just boot them out of your program, because that might cause some other issues. They might still have the mental health stuff going on. I don't really know if I could really tease out and say that like substance use or substance dependence is isolated from mental health. issues. I don't know that I see it that way. That's maybe a personal opinion. Um, I don't really see it that way though. I usually think if somebody's using substances, even if they do have a physiological dependence, that's still going to cause a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of mood instability, and things like that. Even if they're not complaining about that, like the amount of time they're spending either having to adjust their life around withdrawal symptoms or having to adjust, their sleeping schedules, their social life, their work abilities. You can't have all that stuff kind of like having issues and go on long term like that and just be like, oh, I'm fine. I don't feel stressed about it at all. Um, it doesn't bother me at all. There's no level of distress here. I'm just physically feeling difficulties because I'm not using this drug anymore. Like I don't know if I've ever seen that. Like usually people are either self-medicating or some form of numbing or just trying to keep the symptoms away. They're not usually just like, oh, I'm just using this and I only physically feel bad and like there's no mental thing going on underneath it all. I do think that the physical, the mental, I do think that's connected. They kind of can feed each other. And then I do think, you know, substance is connected too, but I don't know if this is kind of off topic. But I would say like, I don't know, when it comes to like clinical formulations and things like that, I've definitely got skills with it, like at least in a general way of like looking at someone's kind of phases that they're going through with things and their levels of being ready. Uh, Usually a lot of time I look at people's actions and I'm like, well, how is this person's actions towards their goals? Um, if they say I want to get a job that pays 50K because I'm only making 30K a year, and it's like you've been in a program, this person's been in a program with you working together, and it's been like a year, and they haven't even applied to one job, and the one job, or maybe they only applied to one job in a whole year's time period, and the job they applied to wasn't even it wasn't even a job where they um, were making would have been even making 30K. Maybe it was a 25K annual pay rate, um, and that's all they've applied to in like a year. It's like I don't think this person has met their goals. They're not even applying to jobs that there's something that's still getting in their way of applying to jobs where they're you know um, where they would be making 50K or at least 30K or more than 30K. Like it has to be at least like on track of what they're looking for. And I would say one job application in a year, it's like this person isn't really ready. There's something holding them back. Now, I'm just using like a mild example. Um, but if somebody had like depression and anxiety impacting their ability to kind of reach that like their main goal, like a practical goal, is like they want to be able to, make more money. But it's like, well, if they're not applying to jobs, they're probably not going to make more money. Now, if they were doing other stuff, if they were building up their LinkedIn profile, networking, having training, like getting into trainings, having some courses, certifications, maybe took a class, they're volunteering or like interning, and it's like, okay, they're doing all this other stuff, and maybe in the process they applied to one job that was low paying, and then it's like if they weren't doing any of that stuff before and then they were doing all these other things and then they only had the one job application and it was a paying job, I would be like, well, at least they've done all this other stuff, they're building the framework. But if they're not even building the framework, or if the framework is already built and you still see that there's that hesitance, that they're not even like taking the actionable steps, then they're probably not ready to get to that goal. They're not on point with reaching their goal. I mean, unless they're waiting on recruiters or waiting on someone to reach out to them, um, they basically wouldn't really have really a lot of expectation to reach that goal anytime soon. It's not completely impossible, but it's not very likely that this person by the end of the year is going to be making 50K if they're still in a space where they haven't even applied anywhere or talked to anybody that would get a foot in the door. Now they might have a network now after a year, or it might be less than a year, but let's say it's a year because half of the first half of the year they were, dealing with these other symptoms that were so severe that they couldn't even really, you know, do all the other framework stuff. So if this person starts now they've been working on like the basic framework of what they're going to need, um so that they have a foundation at least. And then now they've got classmates, they've got, you know, coaches, they've got instructors, they've got, all these people and volunteer work that they've done, and people who can state that their work was good quality. They've built that over a year, as well as like improving some of their mental health symptoms. I would say they haven't really met their goal, but they're on track to meeting their goal. Maybe it would take them another 6 months. Who knows? Maybe it would take them another 3 months. Who knows? But you could possibly keep a person in a program if they wanted to stay in a program. You could kind of explain that, the stressors of not having a high-paying job could potentially still lead someone to having anxiety and depression. Like, I'm thinking about someone trying to make 50K in LA. If you're making 30K now, and your anxiety, you have such high social anxiety, you can't really live with other people, roommates or family or friends or whatever. um, you'd have to be working on the social anxiety, and you'd also have to be working on getting your income to a place where you can afford your own place. So, um, yeah, that's your tangent for today, guys. But I would say knowing that kind of thing, like just being able to kind of like look at cases, people's uh, goals and plans in that way. That's kind of where my skills are. It's kind of just like seeing an overview of what things look like, and also like helping the people, but at the level that they're ready to be helped at. Because that's why I say I look at actions. Because sometimes people say things. It's kind of like that whole thing where people say like, "Oh, I want to learn a language," you know, I want to learn Italian, and it's like 3 years later they've never done it. Or I want to learn how to play guitar, and then it's like they don't even have a guitar yet or whatever. And 3 years later it's like they're still saying, oh, I really want to learn how to play this instrument. Or like they buy one and never practice. It's like there's got to be that discipline there, and that level of readiness there to be able to get get the actions in place to actually learn the thing. um, get the actions in place to actually like get your foot in the door at a job. Like, it's possible to be applying to jobs for 6 months, for 12 months, for more than that, and not have a job. That's possible. Maybe it's your interviewing skills. Maybe you don't have enough experience. Maybe it's just the job market's very competitive at that time. There can be multiple reasons why somebody's not getting a job and they are applying. Um, but Um, I don't know if there would be. I don't know what that would look like really. Like, why? Like, I don't really know if I could explain why that would be. Okay, I'll go through the rest of this stuff faster. Knowledge, identifying key areas of expertise or certifications. I've got a master's degree, a couple certifications. Areas of expertise, I've kind of explained that with the skills that distinguish myself. Reputation, noting professional recognition, network strengths, testimonials from clients and colleagues. Um, I would say testimonials would be like when I left the job, uh, there were some people saying that um, I had a gift for that type of work. I've got that in email. I've got it in email when I was applying through Recruiter to other types of jobs. That they said that I had really good references. The people who they spoke to that were my references had very, very good things to say about me. Um, so I would consider that to be, testimonials. I don't know if we really have testimonials from clients. I mean, I don't have any. I wouldn't have any written proof of that, um, because it would be maybe confidential if they had written anything. I mean, I could talk about experiences, but I don't have any testimonials because, like, client information is private and we don't share it. Um, so even if I had maybe gotten from a client, maybe a client went on a trip. I had an elderly client that went on a trip to Australia, New Zealand, some other countries. She got me a t-shirt. They're not supposed to leave you gifts, but I was out of town when she left me a gift. And one of the other staff gave it to me from her, and I was like, okay, thanks, and I still have it. And there was another client who was saying how much I helped, and she took a picture, and then I think she went and got the pictures, printed, and gave me a copy of the picture. I had a client that gave me, these lilies. I'm not. We don't really take gifts. That's not really why I'm even saying it. It's such an awkward thing, but it's like I don't take gifts. I don't want people to give me gifts, but sometimes it's like you can't really refuse it in a way that's gonna make sense. Like if it's not like the T-shirt was like this elderly lady went on her. You know how elderly people sometimes have like a bucket list of things they want to do, and when they're getting so much older, it's like she knows she's only gonna make this trip once in her life. She had like one trip that she could maybe take, with her health conditions and things, and this was the one trip, and she thought of me during that process and gave me a T-shirt. It's like for me to just be like, sorry, I can't take this. It's like it was a nice gesture. There's no way that I mean, if you give that back, it's just offending someone. She wasn't going like way out of her way to like get me a T-shirt. I mean, of course, T-shirts can cost like $20 to $40. I'm not saying they're super cheap, but it's kind of one of those things. It's like if you give it back to someone, it's like, are you doing more harm than good? When it's something that's just like you can tell, like she's not trying to like provide payment for me or anything like that, and the services were free, and things like that. It's kind of like, I would always just tell the supervisor, and they'd be like, okay, it's okay. But it's not like I was getting gifts all the time. Or like the person who took the picture, or the person who gave me the lilies. It's like, if I don't take the lilies, it's like they're just gonna die anyways. Like they're already in a vase, they're already cut. Like I just took it. I was like, I do explain, like, we're not allowed to take gifts. We're not supposed to take gifts. You're not really supposed to give us gifts. But it's like, if this person has a whole thing of flowers, like, what am I going to give it back? Like, they're just going to die, it's not like a permanent thing. Like, eventually they died, and I had to throw them out anyway. So it's like, things like that, where it's like, okay, someone gets you a souvenir or something. Thank you very much, but, you know, I don't know. And then I guess we used to have these like groups, these, I don't know what you would call it. It was almost like a focus group where they would have groups of clients come into a mental health site, clients that are usually more engaged, and they were allowed to come in. We would hold it at a time of one of the groups, so we would cancel one of the groups and just be like, okay, today, instead of group, or like for the first half of group, we're doing, this, you guys can, each person in the group had to fill out like a survey about the clinic and the support they do or don't get. And then they were kind of talking about, maybe there would be a topic about like the group sessions, what do you like or not like, or like maybe the purpose of it was to get more engagement in the groups. And so they would use one of my groups because my groups had high attendance. But just trying to like figure out, why is this group working and the other ones, some of them aren't working. I mean, most of the feedback I got, because they let me stay in some of those meetings, and most of the feedback I got was that I really treat people like, I treat everyone equally and like humans. Like, a lot of people felt like, they get stigma from their family. And this was like, a lot of this was happening before mental health treatment was on the rise during the pandemic. A lot of this was happening before that, before the treatment was more popular. Like, people weren't really engaging in mental health at such a high rate before this. So it was common. Well, it is still now common. It's still kind of taboo, but it was common at that time to have sorry, microphone, sorry, there's some motorcycles. But yeah, it was common at that time for people to think, to have family members that would like call them things like crazy, or they would be like really mean to them, or wouldn't understand that they were having hallucinations. And one thing that I kind of realized is a lot of people who were individual and group clients were all kind of saying the same thing. They were like, they felt really socially isolated. A lot of the clients I worked with had psychosis, symptoms of psychosis. They felt really isolated. They felt really, they mostly felt isolated. They felt like no one really understood them in their regular, like, daily life. A lot of them weren't able to work to make money, and the money that they did get wasn't enough to really, fund a social life in any way. They didn't even have enough for like basic living expenses for the most part. And so trying to go out and like do stuff like, go to social groups or bars or clubs, or I'm not saying people need to go to bars or clubs, but I'm just thinking what I would probably be doing. But just trying to even have money to go do things where you would like be having like more interaction, where you would be having more interaction with people. You're kind of not really easily able to socialize. So like, you're home a lot more. You're probably living with family because it's more affordable. And if the family doesn't understand you, or you have to live with roommates and they don't understand you, and then you've got all these problems going on, and then in addition to that, you can't even find other people outside. It's like they had these groups because they were in this treatment program. It was outpatient, but they were in a treatment program, and some of them were in there for years. Like, a lot of these people, it's like their symptoms were severe to a point that they would possibly always be on medications. I don't really like to say that because you never really know. But if that's how it is, that's how it is. I'm not saying it's bad if someone always has to be on medications. It's not really their fault necessarily all the time. We all make our decisions, and then we all get exposed to different stuff. So I can't really like blame people. But I'm not really. I've heard, like, they say it's pervasive mental illness. It's like they're likely gonna have symptoms that resurface because of the severity. And it's not like that for everyone, but for a lot of these people, that was kind of the case. It wasn't like, oh, they're experiencing depression for the first time in their life. And yes, it's terrible, and yes, it's difficult, and they get treated within the year, and then they're good, and they're able to just cope and function. A lot of these people came from poverty. A lot of their families came from poverty. There's often a lot of trauma and, abuse history and PTSD and lack of needs getting met in a younger age. I'm not saying everyone who has that situation growing up is going to come out with pervasive symptoms, but that was kind of most of the clients that stayed for a long time. I kind of noticed that was kind of the theme. Um, but um, I don't know. As far as networking strengths, I mean, working in mental health, I have networking strengths. Having the courses with certifications that I've gotten since not working in those sites, I have a network online in addition, through LinkedIn, in addition to Discords, and in addition to podcasting. And so I've got some networks within those avenues. Um, Testimonials from colleagues. I've had colleagues write nice reference letters for me. Um, Note any professional recognition. I mean, yeah, I got the same award 3 times in a row. It was called the See It Through Award. I got that reward 3 consecutive years working at the clinic. I got. I usually use what do you call it? Like, keep your. What are those things that you get? What was it called? It's like a review that you get at work. You get like an annual review from your boss every year. I can't remember what it's called. Um, but I usually keep a copy of those. And then, like, if you have any exit letters, of like when you quit your job, keep those if you left in good standing. If you've ever gotten someone who reached out to you saying, "Hey, we like your resume. We think you're a good fit." If you can get that kind of stuff in writing, even if they're not hiring you, just outreach from like recruiters and like out people who have reached out to you that have kind of said like your resume is strong, or like your skill set is strong, or we talked to some of your references and they're giving you good ratings. Anything that has anything to do with like other people proving that your work is good, you can really take that a long way. Because even if it's not for that specific field, a lot of it's going to transfer into another field. And so, if you've got like a portfolio or something, put that in there. And, you know, and so, okay, skills, gaps, and goals. Identify areas of growth and set clear goals for advancement. Skill gaps, salary/revenue goals, and growth goals. So, skill gaps, what do you need to acquire to improve? List up to 3 skills. One thing I noticed with the skill gap that I have in some of the newer fields that I'm more interested in is the terminology. Now, because I do a lot of freelancing, a lot of volunteering, a lot of rambling on the internet, podcasting about, I call it podcasting. I'm kind of just rambling, but rambling on the internet and kind of like freestyle, like just recording myself talking and processing about different topics. Because I do that, you know, I have noticed that one of my weaknesses is um, definitely not really knowing the exact terminology for things. I realized that the other day when I was taking some exams, and I was like, okay, so certain times I'd have to look up the term. It would be like, what, I can't even give an example off the top of my head, but like, what's the difference between this type of AI used on like Meta ads versus this type of AI, you know, solution used on Meta ads. And maybe I don't really know what the terms mean, but when I go and look up the terms, I could explain what it would look like in Meta to walk someone through using that type of automation, using type A versus using type B automation. I might not know what the words are for it or what it's called or the terminology, but I know what it would look like and what the different results would be or what they would need to be to consider something to be optimized versus something that would be like, okay, like you used this AI to try to help your website or whatever, but um, this is what typically people would see as like considered like a good result, and your results aren't quite there. So I can kind of analyze things, I can talk about it, but sometimes I don't know what it's called. And so that is definitely, you know, something that I'm going to be working on, is learning the terminology better. She mentioned AI. I am so resistant to AI, but it's here to stay, so I can't really do anything about that. I don't really want to engage with AI too much because I like to use my brain. I do like some aspects of it, but I feel like it's not strong enough. It's not quite strong enough for me to trust it. Now that I've noticed that when I ask it questions about certain things, it doesn't really answer the right answers all the time. The other day I was trying to figure out how to get some kind of like an audio clip, or an audio, like a lengthy audio, this lengthy audio that I'm posting in this link in the description. It's like the audio that I had, I wanted to post it somewhere that was not on a podcast, and then I went through the AI that was just like generated through asking Google, like, hey, like I want to post this, like how can I privately post this, and then it gave me like a list of options, and it said, oh, you could use this certain software to do that. And then I found out that software only gives you like short snippet clips. It doesn't, like, you can't export like a full like 67-minute audio. And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe that's like part of the problem solved, but it's like I've got 67 minutes of this thing. It's not like a 2-minute clip. And so where it led me was not fully helpful, and I didn't find this out until I had downloaded the software and then taken time to upload this audio file. And then I realized, after fumbling around with it for a while, it's like, this isn't what I need. And I wouldn't even have known that that was an option or a potential option if I hadn't used AI. Like, AI was what led me to this false, option. It didn't fully do what I needed, so it was, and that's happened to me with multiple things where when I've looked for something I was going to buy, and I'm like, oh, what kind of batteries does this take? And then it says some other thing, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And then I looked in the back of the device, and the batteries, I think it was Chat GPT, it was telling me that this device needed 4 AA batteries, and it needed like 6D batteries, and I'm like, that's not the same thing. So I kind of realized that, it was kind of flawed. And then I even looked in the manual, the PDF manual online for this. It was a Yamaha keyboard, like like a musical keyboard, not like a laptop or a computer keyboard, not a desktop keyboard. It was for music, for making music, and I literally I have the physical product in my house, but I was just like too lazy to get up and like take all the sheet music off of it and like take the music stand off and like flip it over. I was like, I'll just ask it real quick so I can order it on Amazon. And then I was going back and forth like, oh, well, I read in the manual it takes this type of battery, and like by the time I told it that, it was like, oh yeah, my mistake kind of thing. And it's been I've that those are only two examples of times where AI told me completely the wrong thing, and I did go back and forth with it a little bit before it kind of like revealed the right answer. And so I'm like, if I wouldn't have known, say if I wasn't at home and I hadn't even more recently opened up the back of that keyboard, and it had been like years, or maybe I'd never opened it before, I wouldn't have known. Um, I wouldn't have known. So, um, and I would have made the wrong purchase on Amazon and spent money and time waiting for those batteries, and then getting the wrong ones, and then having to send them back, and then, like, to get a refund or whatever. Like, it wouldn't have worked out. I don't know. Can you return batteries on Amazon? I've never tried, but it wouldn't have worked out basically, if I would have just relied on AI, and I would have lost money or lost time. And if it was something super important, like what if I had a gig and I needed it by that night and I was just trying to save time, I would have ended up having to go to the store to go buy the right batteries after I just purchased the wrong batteries. And some people, maybe they don't have that kind of money to be purchasing stuff, you know, maybe I only had that much money and I, didn't have the money, or maybe it was such a late gig that there was no place open that had D batteries. But I wanted to get that out of the way so I didn't have to go shopping and do it in person. Or maybe I was ill. Who knows? Like, but ChatGPT could have led me wrong. And that's not the first time it could have led me wrong. So, you know, I have like probably 4 or 5 examples of that, and that's all within 2025. Within the year of 2025, I've had wrong answers from ChatGPT, from stuff where there is actual clear information online about it. But once you kind of reference, you know, um, a source and tell it the right answer, then it changes. But then if you ask it the original question again, it still goes back to the same wrong answer. And so, I don't know. I know that people are saying AI, AI, AI. I think it's good for like brainstorming. Like if I'm like, you know, hey Chat GPT, like these, um, my most popular episodes on this podcast are by, the ones about Biaheza strategies or whatever. What are 10 episode topics that I could maybe spin off of that would provide valuable information to people interested in that same kind of topic? Because maybe I can't think of 10 ideas, and so it gives me 10 ideas. And if I say, write me 10 blog posts of, SEO optimized of this amount, um, of like 3,000 words, on these 10 topics, and now I have 10 blog posts, you know, so I have 10 AI generated blog posts, 10 topics that I can talk about, and maybe I'm just raw talking about them, and then I have a blog post that I didn't even have to create. Like, you can do stuff like that, but also just be careful with it, because I don't think, I've heard this, and I don't know if it's right, but I don't think that these platforms all treat AI created content equally to organic content. Um, like, I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to look something up. Like, even if it's like I like ancient writings and things. So say I'm trying to look up some random ancient Egyptian cultural text or something, and I want to like learn about it, and then there's this AI generated documentary about it. And sometimes it takes me a second to realize, oh, this is AI, but to me that's a turnoff. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but it's like I'd much rather read subtitles of somebody, from another country, even like speaking, their native tongue, talking about, how they practice this ancient cultural tradition or whatever it is that I'm trying to like learn about, because I'm a total nerd and I like whatever. I like a lot of really strange things. But I like learning basically, and sometimes I really want to like learn something like that, and it doesn't really help to try and learn something um, when it's just dull and boring, and it's like, oh, this is a robot talking to me. There's no personality to it, and then like the video is just like some stock weird AI generated footage, and it's like, even like, say for the reason why I mentioned subtitles, it's like sometimes I'm like, I'm really tired, or just kind of like, I just want to chill and I don't want to read something with subtitles. I want it to be in my native language, so I can just like chill and not really have to read it. But I'd almost rather read something, with subtitles than watch like some random AI, info doc kind of thing. um so yeah, people say learn AI, but I'm like, it kind of depends how you use it, because I haven't had the best of experiences with it. I think it's good for some things. I don't think it's good for. I don't think it's good to fully use it for your content creation. I'm just gonna go out there and say that. I think it's good to use it, like I said, maybe for brainstorming, or maybe for fact checking, or maybe for like beefing up, giving more beef to something when you're like, oh, like it's kind of thin, like, and I don't really know a lot of details about it. Like, let me just, and I think it's important to learn, but I don't know. Maybe you guys like AI generated stuff a lot. I think I'd rather have it than nothing. I'd rather have the content out there and have the option to engage with it versus not having it. But then it's like, I get a little worried about if the information is accurate, but because I've already had so many experiences where the information wasn't accurate, so I'm like, am I gonna watch this whole AI documentary and, is it even correct? Dude, I saw that car driving out of my mirror. They are driving way too fast. All the other cars around them were barely moving, and they're just like speeding down the street. But yeah, those would be two skills I'd want to improve. The third, I started doing the third yesterday, but I would say the third goal is, when I write things in my planner, the way I use my planner, I write down what I'm gonna do, and I learned this from a session I had with someone, to kind of put, well, they didn't say it this way, but this is the way I do it. I put down the items that I'm doing for that day, and then I put them in the order that I'm gonna do them in, because that's the order of importance. I notice when I look at my schedule, it's not really a schedule that's like, this is what I'm gonna do this time to this time. I put it in there, and then I decide how long I'm gonna spend doing it. Like yesterday, I did exercise in the morning, and then I had a therapy session at 11, and then I had lunch, and then I was gonna sit down and do this some calls, and then I ended up emailing my brother instead of that, and then I also ended up deciding that I was gonna not make those calls because I only had limited energy yesterday, and I'm like, I didn't really have to make them that day. I just decided against it. There's a job application I'm working on right now for a sales site. I had it on the list to kind of look at their website some more, and then I had it on the list for starting to work on the post of this content. Just getting the Google Drive folder, and I sent it to some friends, but basically getting that off of my phone, off of my spare phone, getting it onto my computer where I have access to being able to like do more with it. I also had on here like I've got the GoDaddy website and the Shopify store that I'm working on. Both of those I did not get to. Today I have on the list, I was looking up this Movie Maker audio error code 0xC9460002C, because it was saying that there was a corrupt file. The audio file that I'm going to post in this link, it wasn't, I was trying to put it on Windows Movie Maker. I was originally going to post it on the YouTube for this, so I could just share the YouTube link as unlisted, but I couldn't get it on there, because I guess with YouTube you can't just post audio files only. And then I tried to use Movie Maker to make like a 67-minute long, basically, slideshow. It was basically a picture, just like a stock photo, and I was just gonna keep it on there for 67 minutes and then post the audio file with that, so you would just be looking at the screen and it doesn't change, but it's like, a picture that I could just upload as a movie with the audio file, but the audio file wouldn't load, and this was the error code it gave me, so I put it in to look at that, which I don't really need to look at, but I put it in there to look at it anyways in my schedule. And then podcasting, I kind of thought I had other plans today, not with somebody, but I have tentative plans, and then I thought I had some other plans today, but I don't think I thought I had some other plans, just personal plans to like do some stuff, and then I realized that I kind of just want to work on some stuff at home. Usually I'm not working on stuff at home on Saturdays, but today I was like, I didn't do a lot yesterday because my energy was pretty consumed, so I guess the skill attached to all that, that's a lengthy way of saying, just trying to organize my time, like just kind of how I did yesterday when I started thinking about those phone calls at that time when it was like 1:15 p.m. and I started working on the research behind what I was going to do, and I was like, you know what, I don't really have enough time, like, okay, so I did the research from 1:15, starting at 1:15, I started working on the calls around 1:26 p.m. until 1:49 p.m. and then I got distracted because I had to check an email related to those calls and the research, and then I emailed my brother until 2:15 p.m. So I spent about 25 minutes doing that, and then I was working on this stuff until probably almost like, and the web. Well, I did work on the GoDaddy website, so I was doing that as well. I just didn't work on the Shopify website, but that's pretty much what I did until about 4 p.m. Then I had to start the process of getting dinner, and then I ate probably around 5:15 p.m. and then that was pretty much my evening. Friday nights Fridays I stopped working pretty much at sundown, so I was done by like 7 something, 7:15 or so, and so that was pretty much my day. There was some other stuff I didn't list that's in there, but for example, I didn't work on the Shopify stuff, and I did cut short, I would have spent more of that time with the calls, but I didn't complete that whole process. I kind of scrapped it. I was like, you know what, I really don't want to do it, so I really don't want to like you know, I really was like, okay, these calls aren't a necessity. It was basically like a task where I could make about $5 a call, and I had about 15 of them lined up, and they were due yesterday. I could have gotten an extension, but then I was like, I really don't want to do all this because I need to be doing other stuff. So I kind of scrapped that option and decided not to call. So I didn't make those calls. So yeah. Okay, so what was I even talking about? Yeah, basically just taking stuff off of my planner if I'm not gonna do it, or just kind of figuring out, you know, what's gonna be worth the time to really try to do if I really can't get to everything. Okay, a little bit distracted there, but okay. I would say, maybe a third skill to kind of improve on. Maybe some practical stuff. A lot of it's just like more general experience doing the tasks that I need to do to kind of get, like, make it feel smoother. Things like cold calls, things like talking about analytics while using the terminology and things like that. I would say those would be two of three or so of the areas that I could work on in 30 days. And from there, salary revenue goals, you can define that for the next 6 months. Growth goals, what are your professional development objectives? Consider promotions, new roles, or business expansion. I mean, professional development objectives, that kind of goes with my skill gaps, but probably to get more reviews and high level of feedback, like good reviews and good feedback by just doing good work. Networking more, and that would kind of lead to the expansion. 30-day action plan. Develop a focused action plan that propels you toward your primary goal, and bold next step. What is one main thing you aim to achieve in the next 30 days? I don't have the exact number, but I would put in the exact number to, as far as networking, what type of outreach I would want to use. There's a Loom video type of outreach. I think I want to make a couple Loom videos to use in outreach processes. And then bold next step. Identify a significant action step that will move you closer to your goal. Make it challenging yet attainable. I would say if I make the Loom videos, to be able to send them out to a certain amount of people. I'm being very vague because there's a project I'm working on. I'm always working on projects, but one of them's an e-commerce project. It's not related to eBay. Don't worry, I'm not going to be ranting about eBay anymore. But it's a different project with a self-made product. So making the products is going to be part of it. But in addition to making the products, I would say selling them. But yeah, in addition to that, uh, yeah, that's basically what I would be doing, is selling the products. So I don't really think I have another another thing I'd be doing. Well, I do, but that's kind of mainly what's on my mind. Um, and then I'm trying to finish this up faster because I really took a lot of time rambling. Um, let's see, 30-day action plan, the day, the action, the step, and then completion status. So you have days 1 through 30 listing, like every 5 days, you're kind of like talking about what you did. Every fifth day, that was part of your action planning. So you could kind of do that, write that stuff out, and then there's a click here to book a strategy session with this lady. Again, like I said, I can't vouch for this person because I don't really know her, but you will have all the information that I have now, to go by, in addition to my own way of how I'm walking myself through the same project. I'm doing it as well. I'm not really I'm not even gonna say that I'm gonna post my results about it. I mean, you'll hear about them because I'll be talking about it anyways, but um I'm not gonna like follow back up about this because I I don't think I need to. um I mean, I'm probably gonna talk about it with someone else, but I'm probably not gonna follow up with it specifically on here, um, not in detail. So I hope this was helpful. I gave you my examples. Um, I was very vague with some of them though, because I don't like to work on projects and then talk about them until I have at least some of the way done. But I don't really like to talk about stuff if I don't really have it finished yet. So, or started it even. So I don't want to. I don't have a lot done, so I don't really want to talk about it. Um, but that's pretty much it for now. This was longer than I wanted, but I clearly had nothing else to do for about an hour and a half, so I just wanted to sit out in the sun and record. Sorry that traffic is definitely higher than usual, and it's echoing. I had to open the windows because it's getting hot in here. But that's pretty much all for now. Thanks for listening.